lucid. I made the determination that it would be safer to wait for LA County Fire to help remove him instead of trying to remove him myself. I kept Mr. Woods calm until LA County Fire arrived on scene.
What did you do to keep him calm, Deputy?
I spoke to him. I asked.
Conversation. Can you share it with us, please?
I asked him what his name was. He told me his name was Tiger, and at that moment I immediately recognized him. I asked him if he knew where he was, what time of day, just to make sure he was oriented. He seemed as though he was lucid and calm.
Was he concerned about his injuries?
He didn't seem concerned of his injuries at the time, which is not uncommon in traffic collisions. Many times people tend to be in shock. It's a traumatic experience, so it's not uncommon for people to be focused on unimportant things, or even if they are in pain, they might not feel it until much later.
So was the incident caught on your body cam?
Yes, my body camera was used per department policy.
Deputy, in the photos of the airbags, there's blood. We're trying to figure out everything that we're seeing. Did you see any injuries on him anywhere other than the legs as you were just assessing him on site?
I did observe injuries. I can't speak as to the nature of the injuries. I'm not a trained medical professional, so I can't speak to that. What I can say is that he was injured, and he was successfully removed and taken to the hospital.
And you saw that he had a seatbelt on?
He was wearing a seatbelt.
Did he have lacerations as well as the leggings?
If he did, I was not able to see them due to his clothing.
You've seen a lot of car accidents. Do you think this type of car saved his life, or do you think like a cheaper car, like you wouldn't have had to get a...
As mentioned by the sheriff, that specific stretch of roadway is one of our trouble spots. Our locals in Rancho Palos Verdes and Rolling Hills Estates know that it's a hot spot for traffic collisions as well as speed. In my experience as a deputy who is traffic trained and works a traffic car, I have seen many collisions. The nature of his vehicle, the fact that he was wearing a seatbelt, I would say that it greatly increased the likelihood that it saved his life.
Is this the worst accident you've seen on that stretch?
I will say no, because I've been doing this for a while and I've seen fatal traffic collisions. So I will say that it's very fortunate that Mr. Woods was able to come out of this alive.
Deputy Gonzalez, this is an accident-prone stretch, correct? We've seen a number of accidents on this specific stretch. Is that correct?
This stretch of roadway is downhill, it's sweeping. Speeds there, the speed limit is 45 miles per hour. Myself, when I'm doing speed enforcement, I will sometimes catch people going 80 plus miles per hour. So it's more of a thing that this, people see a nice stretch of road and maybe they're not watching their speedometer, or maybe they're in a hurry.
During your conversations with Tiger, were you ever concerned in the time that you spent with him of his pain threshold, or that he was going to lose consciousness at all?
At the moment that I spoke to Mr. Woods, I was able to determine that it would have been safer for me to wait for LA County Fire because his condition seemed stable, and I did not want to risk further injuring him by trying to remove him myself.
There was something floating around about like a bystander who went in and called X-rated. Can you tell if there's anything about that?
So the neighbor that lives behind heard the collision and came down and was the one that directed me to the vehicle. As was indicated by the sheriff, there was another unrelated traffic collision that occurred several feet down the roadway, which I believe was due to people trying to look. And that also kind of distracted from what was occurring, because he was several feet off the roadway, so I think most of the attention that people were focused on was on the roadway.
One more question. Deputy, can you describe what the scene looked like inside the car? Did he have enough space to move around, wiggle around, and how did the passenger side look, and how did the back?
As indicated by the sheriff, the interior passenger compartment of the vehicle was intact. The airbags did deploy successfully. Again, he was wearing his seatbelt. I think this also kind of speaks to the marvel of modern automobiles, in that they're much safer than they've ever been previously.
Deputy, any idea how many times the vehicle flipped?
Well, we don't know that at this time. Sí.
¿Tiene preguntas en español?
Sí, ¿cuál es la pregunta? Sí, cuando llegué, me fijé dentro del vehículo y le pregunté al señor cuál era su nombre para ver si podía platicar conmigo. Me dijo su nombre, es cuando lo reconocí. En ese tiempo hice la decisión que sería la mejor decisión de esperar a los bomberos llegar para poder sacarlo del vehículo, porque en ese tiempo sus heridas no se veían tan serios que se me hizo tan importante para sacarlo en ese momento y arriesgar posiblemente dañarlo más.
Mencionó que algunas personas estaban diciendo que se había podido
estar de pie, lo cual usted dijo que era totalmente falso.
No, cuando lo sacaron los bomberos, lo pusieron en un stretcher y así se lo llevaron.
Entonces, ¿sí portaba el cinturón de seguridad?
Sí tuvo puesto el cinturón de seguridad.
Were there security cameras in the area?
Español, por favor, español.
¿Alguna herida en la cabeza?
Eso no sé, no soy doctor ni soy profesional médico, entonces no puedo hablar sobre sus heridas.
Pero tú que lo viste, tenía sangre en la cara, tal vez.
De eso no puedo hablar.
Lo que sí mencionabas es que era común en esa área que la velocidad, muchas veces las personas no se dieran cuenta qué tan rápido iba.
Es una zona que es muy común ver carros que van en exceso de velocidad.
Thank you all for coming. This concludes our press conference.